It's a $5 bounty tournament on Poker Stars. So I don't think I'm gonna do that well because they just made me blush as I started the video. So I'm expecting my odds. Expect me to lose spectacularly. I'm gonna do very well, but I'm gonna lose spectacularly. I'm gonna get a flush, lose to a full house or a 4 of a kind, some spectacular hand. Expect it. Or aces versus kings, or some scenario where I'm the favorite, most likely, and I'll end up losing. Put 10 bucks, 10% of your bet on that. Long term. And they play this system like people are secretly wagering on it, and really what they do is they try to, but they allow me to do my thing and win, and then until there's enough money where when I lose, I bankrupt a lot of the people that are now like, okay, he's in a rhythm, he's gonna win, and then they capitalize on them, right? So it's who has the information, right? So the people, once they see once the biggest sucks, the biggest whales cry the most, then I'm likely to lose. Once there's billions on the line, because secretly there's a lot of money being wagered with my poker games, and even though it's basically play money to me, it's $5. Let's see what the projected first place is. $168.72. So that's likely to go down since it just started. So really, well, I guess with bounties, a good bounty, you could potentially make between 150 to 200 bucks on this tournament. So that's not bad, all $5. That's well, 100 bucks would be 20 times your money, and so 150 would be 30 times your money. Etc. Let's see if I could do something spectacular. It was likely the river helped him that time. He either had the flush or the 7, I think. So I don't know if you happen to watch the video before this. It was Play Money Poker. It was pretty solid 2-hour video, but started out real money, but then turned into a Play Money video. But there was solid poker and some solid driving advice. And the only thing I didn't include in it was when driving in the winter time is you want to try to have 2 different types of surfaces if possible, like rather than ice. If the choice is ice alone, you'd want to drive in, slow down, but drive in ice and snow slightly, not deep snow but slight snow, so you have 2 different types of traction options for your tires. So ideally, the whole point of the last video is if you live in a winter country where there's winter, unless you can't afford all-wheel drive, then get all-wheel drive. I had a Mercedes-Benz in 2012. It was 2010 Mercedes-Benz. It was all-wheel drive, and I loved the engineering of it. I could feel the engineering just driving it. It was awesome. It was an entry level. It was a C-Class Mercedes, and I knew then that it was entry level, but it was still amazing, like the engineering. I loved it, but at the same time, I knew I wanted an S-Class or an E-Class. I knew that it's just I couldn't afford it, basically. But if I could afford it, I would have gotten an S-Class AMG. If you get a Mercedes, like, if you're a guy, if you want to impress women, just get any Mercedes. But if you want to impress the guys, you need to have the higher cylinder. You need the AMG. You need the AMG. But to a woman, she might see a Camaro and think it's a Corvette, right? But a guy's gonna know that it's not the Z06 package or whatever it would be. So that being said, it all depends if you're a driver or not. If you're a driver, then go for the most thrilling, exhilarating experience, which would be the highest trim package for the car, performance package. So for Mercedes, it would be AMG, and let's see what it is for Corvette. I think it's the 06, but it might be something different now. $2,024.
According to Emmett Chevrolet, finally, the 3LT is the ultimate combination of luxury and performance, rounded out by a leather-wrapped interior.
So that's basically it then, right? So if you're a Corvette enthusiast, there's every other Corvette, then there's the 3LT. So nothing else matters but the 3LT, basically. They're all still nice cars, but it just means you probably couldn't afford the 3LT if you got a lesser trim package. And I'm all about performance, right? So driving to me, I love cars. Like, I'm gonna be very rich, and yachts are pretty cool. I'm gonna own some of them, but I love cars. Planes are really cool. Jets, aerodynamically, they're a cool looking machine. If machines can be sexy, airplanes and yachts are sexy, and cars, sports cars, they're sexy machines. They're cool. The aerodynamics of them and the lines of them are the curvatures of. There's some cars, like if you have your day-to-day driver car, an entry-level car, you're not gonna have the most fun washing your car by hand. But you have a nice car. Every sunny day now, you want to wash your car and spend time touching that car. Waxing it, doing whatever you can, right? If there's the slightest showing of dust, you're washing it. Right? Because of the curves of the car, right? The way that, it might be the way the water beads off the car or whatever, right? But it's a fun experience, especially in the summertime. Okay, so I have 0 draw, and I'm likely to lose here, so. Potential straight flush draw. Let's see what happens. Potential straight flush right now. Who has the flush and who has the ace? Nobody. Nobody had the ace or king of clubs, which was surprising. Typically, you see a high flush in that scenario. Yeah, I had a Dodge Charger, which was fun. It had some nice curves, so it was awesome to wash. I had black. So one tip, if you're buying a new car, when you get a black car, it shows all the dust, right? So if you go on back roads and stuff like that, maybe black isn't the color you want. Whereas white hides the dust a lot more. So you don't need to wash your car as much, right? So that could save you potentially hundreds of dollars over the lease of your vehicle. If you finance it over the life of your vehicle, it might be thousands of dollars in car washing or water expenses. Unless you're lucky enough and it rains and then you get the free car wash. But I love cars so much that I'm gonna design them, and when I have a car, I'm gonna wash it by hand and see how the water and dirt runs off the car. If I don't like how it runs off the car, then I'm gonna re-engineer the car. Because the way the lines are, the dirt usually ends up in certain spots. I wouldn't give my future competitors the tip, but I'd want to, like, because I'd want to have a, basically it's trying to become a billionaire, at least to have a hydrogen car company, but it would be like a full service. Okay, this is a juicy pot, so I'm gonna see a flop. I have position. No, I don't, over the razor, so I'm gonna fold the original razor. I'd be more like a GM company but I'd want to have like the sports car, like the Corvette, so like GM, and then have like the Chevy line, where you have the Malibu, so I would have an entry level car, then the Cadillac, so I would have the Corvette, the Cadillac, and then the entry level car, basically. So it'd be to try to capitalize on the entry level market, and then the mid-size market, and then the premium market for sports cars. And unlikely I would have, I guess I possibly would own some luxury car companies, so I would keep them specifically. I like the look of like Rolls-Royce. I wouldn't want to change the design too much because it's such a historical. The front of a Rolls-Royce and the body, the stance of it needs to, over time, needs to modernize, but at the same time, it needs to visually look its classic bread and butter look that's worked for Rolls-Royce for over 100 years, right? And let's see right now. Let's Google search this.
According to Quora, the oldest running car in the world is La Marquise, an 1884 model made in France.
Oh, that's cool. I guess I didn't like that one. That was too unique of a search. Okay, that's when it was produced. What is the oldest cars? Okay, so that's still on the road. Well, I seen somewhere anyways where this guy had a 100-year-old Rolls-Royce, and I believe he was, or near a 100-year-old Rolls-Royce, and he was maybe, I don't know if he was the original owner or one of the few owners, but he maintained it over his life. He was an old man, and I don't know how often he drove it or whatever, but it was roadworthy, and it was over 100 years. So imagine no rust in over 100 years. So it was treated very well, but so there's no salt on the road. But some cars are designed, well, style-wise, right? Most cars in 20 years, style-wise, they kind of become obsolete. they become old and they look old, and so they need to be replaced. Cars aren't going to be designed to last forever, but there are going to be some cars, like high-end cars, that can be maintained and last hopefully forever. Like hopefully the 1967 Shelby Mustang, hopefully it lasts forever, right? Even if it has to get a new engine. Oh, so this is if I had re-money, this is a pretty decent pot, so I'd gamble even though I wouldn't have the best odds, but I'm folding. So I would have chopped. But it's early in the tournament, the blinds are low, so you could, I don't mind taking a chance with pots, because to be more dynamic as a player, right? Because you don't want to be stagnant at the table, because then you become more predictable. Because I rely on my skill to win pots that I don't have a chance of winning normally. But based on odds, based on luck, I have a poor chance of winning. But this hand, you have a decent chance of winning. So if you're new to poker, when you do have a good hand, you want to try to eliminate some players pre-flop, so you have less outs to worry about, basically. Did he hit the ace on the river? Okay, so let's see where I am here. So now that this guy has 20K, that I have 25% what he has, so that's not too good. But average stack is only 6,500 chips. So if you're in the tournament, your goal is to basically be at average stack. If you're in person, you want to look at the board and ideally be the chip leader at your table, but average stack in the tournament. If you maintain that always, if you're at least average stack and always have a goal of being the chip leader at the table, then you should be in a dominating position. Because then once you reach final table, then ideally you work to become chip leader, then you win, right? Let's gamble. With three players, right? Somebody could be trapping with a strong hand in early position. So chances are I was the favorite, except for sometimes. Sometimes people have a set, two pairs, a higher ace with a higher kicker. So when you make a play like that with ace 10, you can't be too confident. You have to expect to lose sometimes. Especially the deeper in the tournament you get. So there's 136 players, right? So the best player in the tournament sees the bottom 20% is fish. Like super fish. They're easy to pick off, right? But then as you get closer to the final table, then that you have to start playing. The play is not as weak, so you have to be more selective, and you have to expect your luck to run out at some point in the tournament. So you can't, unless you win, unless you're a really skillful player that has general luck, basic luck. If I have basic luck or above average luck based on an average day where I play skillfully like I normally do, for my average performance results, I should finish in the final table, if not win, consistently. But most tournaments, you don't have the luck to win, to be at the final table. You're going to run into that. You're going to play that scenario where you might go 30 hands in a row where you're barely hitting pairs or anything, but then you get 2 pairs and all of a sudden your eyes get big, but then you lose to a flush or a straight, right? So it's know when to pick your spots. Like, every tournament you have to make, every tournament you lose, basically, if you would have folded that last hand, that would have prolonged you in the tournament, right? So every tournament you have to make a great fold. They say defense wins championships, right? So it's making that critical fold at the right time, and then that prolongs your survival, which could allow you to rebound, go from the penthouse to the poorhouse to the penthouse within a few hands. But the exact opposite could happen in poker. You could be chip leader and then lose half your chips, and then next thing you know, you're chasing a flush draw and you miss, and then now so you could have 60K, lose 30K one hand, lose 10K chasing a flush draw, then get pocket aces, get unlucky, and you're out of the tournament. Even though you're a chip leader, you could have been dominating for 3 hours at that point, and within 5 hands you could be out of the tournament. That's the brutal reality of poker. If you watch, particularly my tournament videos, but if you watch my tournament videos, you'll see it's not too often I lose in one hand to get knocked out. It's usually a series of bad luck to beat me, because I'm such a conservative player. The official outs that pros go by, I'm stricter than that. So I don't require, so I fold slightly more often than they would, because my strict play. So basically, I don't burn myself as frequently as the pros typically do, because I'm stricter as a player. The next scenario that presents itself, I'll explain it. Let's see, this is a disappointing hand. But at the same time, when you do play tournament poker, you have to be able to play from this position, because that's when you have maximum advantage. You're the last to react. Whereas small blind, you're the first to react, where you have the worst advantage. So if I was to look at all my hands, I'm sure I bluff less often in first position than I do in last position, as most good players should. As most players, they're more likely to trap in early position than they are in late position. Because in late position, then all you could do is bet and hope he raises, and then you could trap him, right? So it's hard to trap in late position. So that being said, always expect the trap from early positions, especially. But it could happen from late position too. So you got to pick your poison. But always expect the trap. Be that defensive. That's how conservative I am. I'm always expecting the trap. Because very rarely do I have the nuts in poker, where you have 100% certainty in a hand. Very rarely. Most of the time it's an educated guess. The better you, when you could put players on cards, it's no longer guessing. It's still an educated guess, but it's hardly guessing at that point. It's hardly guessing, it's skill. It's no different than the weatherman predicting the weather, right? The average person has very little skill at predicting the weather. But a weatherman with experience and in technology, particularly, they are more accurate at predicting the weather. Like I could tell if it's gonna rain, most likely, just because I'm 47 years old almost. So I had 46 years of life experience to tell me, based on the wind, the moisture in the air, how likely it is to rain. So I know that from experience, but that's all I could only see so far. So I require technology to see cloud formations that are an hour away, a few hours away, a day away, etc. So we need technology. But for my reality, my present situation, I seldom get caught in a bad situation where I don't predict the rain. It's gonna happen more often now. I'm gonna get caught in the rain way more often, but historically, I don't get drenched too often because I'm able to anticipate the weather. Slightly, just based on experience, life experience. It's no different than our ancestors sat there. They didn't have city lights, right? So at nighttime, what do you think we did? All we did was look at the stars and stargaze for thousands of years. So eventually people start putting the constellations together and start figuring it out, naming them, and then astronomy was developed based on observation. Just people sitting there for thousands of years because they didn't move. The world wasn't as globally connected now, so you pretty much lived wherever your village was or your tribe was. So you didn't really, there were explorers, if not we wouldn't have colonized the planet, but it was, we probably, once we strained the resources in that area, then we were forced to expand and move. Or a fight between brothers, two kings, brother kings. That's division of people. Usually, sometimes, if they're religion makes migrations of people. They're willing to travel to new lands for religion. So war, religion, and exploration, and strain resources. That's how we colonized planet Earth, in my opinion. And every language that was created after the first one was either created strictly for secrecy or privacy. Or they snubbed the first language. They're like, basically, F you to the first language, because why would you reinvent a language when everybody already knows the first language, and it's so much easier to say, okay, this is 3 rather than a knock knock. This is now a knock knock. So every language, they basically said, no, we don't want to say 3 anymore. We want to say a knock knock means 3. So every language snubbed the predecessor language, basically. And then eventually, people in the new territory lost the ability to speak the original tongue, and then they only spoke the new language. If not, there should only be one language. It makes no sense to have multiple languages. It makes zero sense whatsoever. Like, as we're a social species, so communication and teaching the young as efficiently as possible is the best strategy for an intelligent species. So cohesive, not having. Let's see how many languages are there on Earth. After this hand, okay, this is nothing hand.
7,139. According to Swap Language, with only 195 countries in the world, the total number of different languages spoken is impressive. According to the Ethnologue Guide, there are 7,139 officially known languages in the world, but this number is declining.
So imagine now you're in a country where you have multiple languages. Luckily enough, I'm in Canada, where the official language is English and French. We're a bilingual country. right? So now our politicians only have to advertise in English and French. Now, a country like India or some of these other countries where they have possibly hundreds of languages, the same politician has to now advertise 100 different ways for the same message. So it's not strategic. But at the same time, you can't say to people, okay, well, this is the best language to speak. No longer speak your own language. But at the same time, like there is most likely in India, there's most likely an official language like there is in Canada, English, right? So everything's in English, but there are times where you see stop signs that say a red, or they used to anyways, where we would say stop and a red. A red is stop in French. So we do have some French signs, and then now sometimes we'll see English, French, in Ojibwe or some indigenous languages and some Asian languages as more people are migrating to Canada. But officially for the politicians, it's so much easier to just be in English, or in the States it'd be English and Spanish. So in a country where there's many languages, it must be challenging because things get lost in translation. So that means one language may not have the word to describe what the official language is trying to say. So then the context is skewed for that entire group of people. So really, all languages have to evolve. Like ideally, like the Korean language, it has 1.4 million words, right? So that means, like, once in the future, anyways, I should be able to learn languages much easier. So I would learn from the Korean language because there must be so many more words that can make English more descriptive and mellifluous. They hacked my brain there. I could easily say that word, but exquisite. Like, so they would have words like that don't exist in English. They would have certain words and certain sounds that could be anglicized and created in English. Chinese. I love the Chinese language because they evolve over time. Other languages, because I live in Canada, so it's multicultural. So you'll hear people speaking their language, and then all of a sudden they're like Wednesday, and then blah 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 blah, weekend, right? So they don't have the words to describe scenarios, right? So that their languages need to evolve to add these new words so things are lost in translation, basically. So ideally, every language, all 139 languages, would have over 1 million words per language, so they could be as descriptive as possible or as concise. That's what the beauty about words having a good vocabulary is. Unfortunately, I can't. They hack my brain, so I can't spell as well as my vocabulary is. So that being said, so instead of me having a perfect word that shortens a whole sentence, one word could save you a whole sentence in writing. One big word. It just sums it all up. It makes it nice and concise. It makes it perfect for you. But then, if you can't spell that word, you have to use a whole sentence of little words to describe that one big word that you can see in your brain, but you can't spell. Because I was a great speller, like in grade 2, but then they started hacking my brain to make me more math orientated. Now I'm gonna find out in the future, because I have results where I remember it's like 72 out of 75 or near perfect results in spelling. And then all of a sudden, now I can't spell historically, right? But it would see, suspiciously enough, in grade 9, the physical performance, it was something like excellent, gold, silver, bronze for the country. In grade 9, I was excellent. Grade 10, I was gold. Grade 11, I was silver. Grade 12, I was bronze. And it's like bullshit. I grew, I became better, more efficient as a machine. And my flexibility increased, everything. I could reach at one point something like 15 centimeters past my toes. 15 centimeters past my toes, and I could do a ridiculous amount, as many sit-ups as humanly possible almost, without trying to get a world record in a minute. It was effortlessly in high school, effortlessly. It did, and push-ups were a little bit harder. I did do well in them, but I wasn't off the charts like I was for sit-ups or stretching. When my life is all revealed publicly, it's going to be a bunch of penis envy that stopped mankind's future, basically. Hindered mankind's future. I'm 46 now, and I have an evolutionary DNA, and I only have 2 kids, and it's needed for the entire human population of good people. So that means there should be, I could have been having, I did mention to my ex-wife that, because I'll show you what I look like at 19. I have good genes. Like I didn't try for part of an IQ test, and I still got 127. An entire section I didn't like it. I was bored. Wasn't interested whatsoever. So I just made a random pattern for an entire section, a 45 question section. So I might have got 50% of them right. Might have got 50% of them right for that section. I just made a fancy little pattern. And I scored off the charts in pattern recognition, so it makes me amazing at poker, stocks, innovating, right? So these are the things that have been exploited for me in my life. So anyways, I'll show you a picture of me I'll show you a couple, 3 pictures. So I came out looking like this. So there was a bunch of baby pedophiles that violated me at that point and throughout my entire life. Some are still alive. But I came out looking like this. My mom looked like that. So 19, I looked like this. 37 like that. 40 like this. So I've been electronically raped my entire life, basically. But at the same time, I'm good looking. I have a high IQ, and my grandfather was offered a pro baseball contract, turned it down. My dad had a pro hockey contract. He partied the night before, missed the flight, so he missed his opportunity. First time I played hardball, but I was 15, and I tried out for the rep team. I made the rep team, and but I couldn't afford it, so I played house league. Got called up multiple times to play against 21-year-olds, and but I was too shy. I didn't realize that the league ended at 15, basically, either. I didn't know that there wasn't basically a house league after 15. If I could have got a year in experience as a 15-year-old playing against 15-year-olds, like 15 games in, and then as a 16-year-old, I would have played against the bigger competition, because my dad always told me to play against the bigger, stronger guys to get better. He always said play against the bigger guys, the stronger guys. So at poker, I try to grow as a player. I try to play against the most challenging players at the table to grow as a player. It's not the most strategic thing to do short term, but long term, it helps you grow as a player. Because the people that fold all the time when you bet, you don't really learn that much off them. But the guys that are dynamic, you have a chance to learn from them often. But that being said, you can always learn from your opponent, because every human has a different perspective, right? A different life experience that made them develop this poker psychology that they have. Their risk tolerance, basically. Everybody's risk tolerance is different, so they're gonna play their hands differently based on how much risk they like to take. nice. I'm glad that worked out. I didn't get a bounty, unfortunately, but I doubled up, which is the main thing. Now, hopefully I could build some momentum here. Decent, good enough for me. Oh, nice bet, nice bet. Nice bet. But I want to see the turn. Oh, he jammed. You know what? That's brutal. I have to fold. Ideally, he's bluffing and he shows me. If he's bluffing, please show. They never show the bluffs to me, unfortunately. But if I would have called there, it would have only been wishful thinking. There's a possibility he could have been making a play, but with the potential flush, straight. With what did I have? Second pair? Yeah, it's second pair. So any 4, any 9, 2 clubs, 2 straights. So if you make the call that I had the opportunity to make there, it would have been a hero call, and expect to lose the majority of the time. Expect to lose. He could have outplayed and hustled me that hand, but at least I didn't go broke, right? So I was able to, now I have to rebound and see if he makes that same type of play again in the future. And if he does, is it advantageous for me to punish him this time? Because you want to give people the confidence to make plays against you and then punish them for it. Especially heads up. It's more noticeable for me in heads up. Like I'll allow them to bluff me 5, 6 times easily. I know they're bluffing, but or there's a high likelihood that they're bluffing. I'll allow them to do it just to give them confidence. Because I'm not entirely certain. They're most likely to be bluffing. Because in poker, right, it's all educated guesses, right? So all you can do is speculate. So how they play certain scenarios, it's like they're most likely bluffing 80% of the time. So that means 20% of the time they're not. So that 20% of the time you should call, that means. So this guy is active. I think he missed this, but he doesn't have the ace, I'm not certain. He doesn't have the ace. But he could have the 3 or the 8. Didn't have the 8. And he had the 8, like I said. I was 100% certain that he did. That's just poker experience. I knew he didn't have the ace. But he could have had the 3 or the 8. And I was 100% right. So watch, maybe keep score, watch from the beginning, see how many times I accurately predict in my videos and whether or not I'm worthy of sponsorships and endorsements and donations. My PayPal email address is christianerikarnemeyer@gmail.com. But this guy's pretty dynamic, but now I know how he plays second pair on the flop. So unless he's dynamic, which he just cheated, I just seen an energy transfer. So now he's a cheater. So hopefully I leave that at the table. But I just seen an energy transfer because as if he heard me through my microphone when PokerStars doesn't. When I installed the app, I didn't give her permission to install audio on my phone. So how the hell could they know that without cheating? So how come PokerStars routed me to these table with these cheats that they know about? But anyways, if that didn't happen, or if you don't believe what I'm saying, ideally in that scenario, I now know that how that player plays second pair. So if we're in a home game, I might I'd try to confirm the theory, basically over time. Ideally, that session, But in future sessions, I would try to confirm the theory. And then when I did confirm the theory, I'd punish him time to time selectively. I couldn't punish him all the time. If he's a good player, I couldn't punish him all the time because he's gonna figure it out over time. But a bad player, you can punish them every time. So if you play when you sit down online, you may not play against these players again, right? So you have to punish them that session. So you got to try to gain this information as fast as possible. I'm going to show the bluff because I want them to show me the bluffs. I want to know when I'm outplayed so I can punish them for it in the future. Or to learn a new move. Because now I'm pretty certain it's always likely or most likely. It's unless it's the nuts, then it's 100%, right? So in poker, you can speculate. Like when somebody has it, if I'm putting people on cards, it's no longer a 50% guess for me because I'm experienced and skilled. So it's probably, I would say I'm at least 80 to 90% accurate. That's my goal. My goal is to be 80 to 90% accurate. It's impossible. I'm only human, so I'm never going to be 100% accurate. Maybe never 100% accurate because people are too creative and poker is such a dynamic game that I would have to. I guess I could possibly, with my fast brain, I might be near 100% accurate after a certain period of time. But that not from everything prior to that moment. So I would never be 100% accurate. Because tells could turn into reverse tells. That's the beauty about psychology in poker. Like I've mentioned in videos, when you go to the casino, when somebody leans forward in the pot, they're interested. They're probably drawing, most likely drawing. And unless they look at their chips. If they look at their chips and they lean forward, they want to pounce on you. They want to pounce on the pot. But that being said, there's bad players, right? So some players, they could have ace-6 and they want to pounce on you in the pot, right? So you have to read the player and determine their skill level, particularly in hands that you're not in. When people are thinking you're not paying attention as much, or they're not concentrating on you as much anyways. So when they're not concentrating on you as much, that's when you got to focus the hardest. Other than when you're in the hand, your turn, right? Everything culminates to your turn. Because earlier in the video, it was like I was likely to fold, but then I ended up winning the pot, right? So based on future information, my current thought at one moment was I'm likely to fold, but then a future information decisions like, hey, I can now win this pot possibly from them, and then I won the pot. I MacGyvered and manhandled the pot. It wasn't really a manhandle. I wouldn't say that was a manhandle. Manhandle would be if I extract what I have now. I have 4,000. So if I extract 4,000 chips out of them, or 5,000 chips out of them with almost 5,000, if I almost went all in and got them to fold, but got them to fold on the river after they called two streets, two big bets on the flop. If they called a big, if I set up the bet, it all depends on the hand, right? Depends on the scenario. Sometimes you have to set the bluff up pre-flop for the follow through on the river, or any time in between, right? That's how dynamic poker is, at least to me. So sometimes it might be, okay, I'm going to set the bluff up pre-flop and then extract, try to get the fold on the flop. Oh no, I didn't get the fold on the flop. Okay, so now I'm going to get the fold. Then it turns into a triple barrel bluff, right? And then sometimes the triple barrel bluff works, and then you extract a lot of chips out of them sometimes without very little risk on the river. Some people, they just need to see the river, and then there's no chance to outdraw you, so they're willing to fold their hand, right? So you could win a certain percentage of pots that way. Say maybe 6% of the pots, 6% of the scenarios in that. Just easily, just a simple little bet. Even min bet, you can min bet, they're gonna fold, right? And then it all depends if you all these scenarios are hypothetical, because I could tell you them, and unless it's engineered through some AI algorithm, the odds that the same 3 people or the same 3 decisions that are going to influence my decision in the same hand scenario are so remote. So 1 more minute left. So what other solid strategy could I think of today? Because I'm making these videos to get sponsorships and endorsements, but ideally to write a poker book one day, once I accomplish something in poker. I'm going to approach it more tentatively, because it is rigged. Because I thought I had a solid strategy going to the casino, knowing that they could see what I see when I looked at the cards. So by me not waiting until my turn to look at the cards, gave me an advantage. It made cheats before me unable to cheat me, basically. So I had a slight competitive advantage. I'm gonna fold. So would I have gotten lucky? Good fold. But now I know at the casino, the dealer is able to show the cards to so it's a complicit ring between the dealer, the casino, and some of the cheats at the table. So I'm gonna pick my spots. I still need casino experience, because ideally I'm just trying to get so good that once they stop cheating, I dominate. I become an indomitable force in poker, and then worthy of Hall of Fame, but best ever considerations. But with technology, all you have to do is watch my videos. All you see is skillful player, every video. And I'm confident, I'm not arrogant. I have experience online, but when the lights and cameras are on, am I able to make the same decisions under the pressure of the lights when I see $1 million cash? Right now I'm broke. Unofficially, I'm worth a lot of money, but right now I'm broke. So if I'm at the final table heads up, even though I have a solid heads up game and a shorthand poker game, and pretty much dominant 6 hand and under, I'm experienced 9-handed play, but not cash games as much, because but tournament poker, I play a lot of 9-handed tournament poker, so I got 9-handed experience. But the World Poker Tour is pretty much, to me, the premium league for poker. I would want to win a couple of those tours, right? The championships, and the final table is 6-handed. So I specifically spent years practicing 6-handed poker, so I try to simulate it at the cash table, or join 6-handed tournaments, but to try to simulate the experience, so I know how to play when I'm 6-handed, 5-handed, 4-handed, 3-handed, 2-handed, like all the way up to heads up, right? So I gain experience, because when you sit at the 6-handed table, if you do it often enough, you're going to play heads up. So don't run away when it's heads up. Use that experience to gain heads up experience. You don't have the blinds increasing in value, which you do in a tournament, which is a pressure cooker, which adds exhilaration to the game. But you can simulate. You can simulate heads up experience, anyways. So ideally, they don't really have it on PokerStars Ontario, which is, I'd make a lot of money on it. It's not because of me, most likely, but I don't know why they wouldn't have it. They have other things, so why wouldn't they? They have it for play money, so why wouldn't they have it for real money where you could play heads up? And then, because then heads up, you only need to outplay one opponent rather than multiple opponents. Okay, I think he's so unlikely to have the 4. But does he have the flush draw? What does Knuckler do though? He could be the sleeper one that I have to worry about. Oh no. What do they do? So I got lucky there, but I probably would have called. I would have made a play if I didn't get lucky on the river because I smell weakness. So I would have made. I probably would have jammed on the river if I didn't make the hand. So since I made the hand, I played it more conservative than I would have if I didn't make the hand in that particular scenario. How it was played that time based on our last several minutes, anyways. So am I average stack? No, average stack is 8,500, so I need to climb. So I'm 60th out of 125th, so I'm technically above average, but not average stack. I'm above median, I guess is the best way to say it. The median average would have been 62 and I'm 60, so. So let's see, I got position over the razors, so I want to play a pot with them. You gotta, randomly I want to play pots with everybody. But this guy has position and chips over me, so he folded good. So that didn't work out. The guy I got into the pot to play against was this guy, right? And then this guy made some hero move. So it altered my change. I probably would have bet there to try to get a fold out of the original razor. But would have been suspicious of the first player's call. So if they would have called, then I probably would have pulled the parachute. Because the second player would have, or the original razor likely would have folded like they did. But that's a scenario where I mentioned earlier where I have a read against one player and it's usually the second player that beats me. So I avoided that situation, that hand, I believe. So I got a gift card from this coffee shop that I'm kind of boycotting, but I got a gift card, so the option was to stand outside the store and sell it, which I decided not to do. And but that's how resourceful I am. But at the same time, I'm now going to the store, so I don't want artificial intelligence to affect my customer experience at the store, or my poker experience particularly. Well, I guess my food. I'd rather my drink not be contaminated and have my poker rigged if I had a choice. These evil people, they're little-minded people. Because they watered me down to average human intelligence, and I still dominate them because I have a champion's fucking mindset. Because when I was a kid, I grew up, I read thoughts. What made these extraordinary people famous? I watched documentaries on people. Why were they extraordinary? What made them look at life differently than every other person to make them extraordinary? So they became a foundation for me, part of my instinct. Lifestyles of the rich and famous, documentaries of famous celebrities, insights. Every day I read wisdom on my social media, on my Facebook, Stoic Insights. I read fun facts about Earth. Anything. I used to read an encyclopedia in the washroom out of boredom before phones. Instead of reading a shampoo bottle, I read an encyclopedia. And the Bible. What's Knuckler doing? I'm just gonna show the store for the camera to capture metadata of people that are electronically violating me. Even though I'm just trying to buy coffee after this hand. Let's see what happens. This could be the end of the video. Type of hand. I think it is the end of the video type of hand, so I'm gonna fold. But anyways, so here we are. So secretly, people are setting me up just to register where. I'll show you on the ground. There's a subliminal face right there. So to unregister it would be right there. And for some reason now it's making me sit out, even though I click on it back and I could see it playing in real time. So I didn't lose connection because I could see the internet working for my competitors chipping me off basically when I now had top pair potentially costing me 2 bounties. This is how they rip me off. So they try to register my physical movement and where I look, and then at the same time they made my internet get disconnected, even though at the top it said LTE the whole time, the entire time. And my competitors, you could see on film, they were able to react and respond. So why wasn't I able to press I'm back, Poker Stars? Why didn't it work when on film it shows me depressing the button? And some people came a very long way to violate me. So one day they'll be punished in their country and basically extradited to the country with the stiffest punishments. Because I'm going to be king of the world, right? So I'm going to basically choose where I want this international court to be held for these enemy combatants, particularly at the highest level. Like some politicians are going to be paraded town by town, like in a transport truck with a see-through trailer with escorts, police and military escorts, town through town, so the politician, the prime minister, president, whoever it may be, could be publicly shamed for about a year. So every citizen in that country has a chance to throw tomatoes, throw fruit at the back of the truck, and there'll even be a water truck to wash off off the tomatoes to clean so he can't hide. They'll have a shit bag, so they have no privacy. They just have to go to the washroom right there. Zero privacy, completely transparent, and then revealing all their crimes that they did to their citizens. Because genocide is committed collectively, worldwide, every single day. Disease should have been cured in the 70s. And so the fact that it's manufactured is insane. How is that intelligent? How is that smart as a species that claims to be intelligent? Oh yeah, just an extra large original roast, 2 sugar, 2 milk. Okay, so here is let's see. This guy's been pretty dynamic, but I'll see a flop for cheap. He's likely to bet. If I had money online to rebuy, because it's still during late registration, there's 27 minutes left of late registration, and I have 0 bounties. So I'm folding, but I don't believe him whatsoever. Don't believe him one bit. He could have the jack, or the 6, but it's so unlikely. Especially since I expected him to bet on the flop. So it was unlikely that the 7 improved, but I did expect them to jam, but I didn't improve. Good luck me. Here's how the video ends, most likely. %, 84, 0 off by the river. 100% by the river, nice. And I got a bounty. Even better. So if I would have called with the 3s, I wouldn't have got the pocket aces, I wouldn't have got the bounty. So you could always pick a better spot. So that's twice he may have been making a play against me, right? So all I could do, now that I have more chips, is manufacture a situation where I could capitalize on him making that exact same play. Because whatever he had could have easily been outdrawn, right? So he was willing to risk a lot of chips with best case scenario, he had a set, which was so unlikely. He probably had ace king. He probably had ace king through ace 10, but at the same time, if I would have called, I would have lost by the river, or he had me that time. It was unlikely. I liked my chance. If I had, I put $10 on today. If I would have played $5 cash and kept $5 cash, if I still had the extra $5 cash, I would have certainly called him. I would have insta-called him. But it wasn't fortuitous for my bankroll, basically. And When you make decisions based on pride in poker, you get punished. Just remember that. Suspiciously enough, within the last 2 weeks, and I have it on film too, but I'm going to be able to show that they played the hardest opponent that I played against. I'm pretty sure was an AI conceived opponent of me. It was me playing against me, a mirror opponent basically. Within the last 3 weeks, I have it on film. It's uploaded to YouTube already. It was probably the only time I would have mentioned it that I suspected that the guy was cheating on film. Consistently over time. I would have mentioned it probably 4 times or more. Setting up the king and not expecting consequences. Bum bum bum. Nice. So I should be better than, okay, I'm a better than average, so that's good. I'm currently 25th out of 117 remaining. So that's all right. I don't mind that. It'd be nice to crack the top 10, but I'm not in any hurry to do that until there's about 40 players left. When there's about 40 players left, you want to be in the top 10. You don't want to be around 20th or below, because the blinds at that point are getting so high that ideally the perfect scenario for me would be to rely on skill 85% of the tournament and then get luckier for the remaining 15%. That'd be the perfect tournament for me, because that means instead of my luck running out deep in the tournament, I'd be peaking my luck deep in the tournament. That's the difference. Because in this, there's 246 players, right? So that's decent, right? But when there's over 1,000 players, then once you get near the final table, it's getting more refined, right? So everybody's probably doing, unless they're based on skill. If they're like my account's rigged to be unlucky, so I'm a skilled player. So if they're like me, then they're a skill player. But generally, unless they do it consistently enough, if they consistently perform in top tier tournament poker, then they're proven, right? Okay, I'm gonna check raise if they depending on the situation here. Oh, don't check. That's what I was worried about. I was worried about this guy. I was wrong, but I was worried about the guy that snap called after me. Is he on tilt? Bum, bum, bum. So I'm in a tourist area, and one thing, solid tip if you ever go to a tourist area, and here, I'll show you right now. Here's a solid tip. Look at this family here. Look at, without looking at the kids too long, but see how they're all wearing the same shirt. So as a solid tip, when you're with your kids, make them wear the same shirt or the same color shirt so you can see them in a crowd a lot easier. Rather than be like, okay, one's wearing red, one's wearing white, one's wearing black. It's like they're all wearing the same shirt. So when they get separated, they're much easier to, because kids are unpredictable, right? There's only two parents in that scenario. There's 5 kids that they had. They had one in a stroller, and then there's 5 kids. So now 3 kids run in 3 different directions. There's only 2 parents. So with the same color shirts, it's more coordinated. And I was in Europe, and in Canada, in kindergarten, the kids, I don't know if they do it now, but when I was in kindergarten, we held hands when we walked through the school or whatever, right? We were secure, but over in, I think it was in Amsterdam, they had high visibility vests for these kids that were preschool kids almost. Preschool to kindergarten kids, about that age anyways. Looked like 5, 6 or under, right? But it was such an awesome idea. Why doesn't other, like, to take it to another level, this is how my brain innovates. And so I guess anybody that develops this idea based officially on this video, I would never want to capitalize on. But anybody that secretly watches this video and capitalize on it, I'm gonna take every cent. But for me, if I was once I'm world leader for clothing, particularly for kids, their jackets and their shirts, there's gonna be high visible reflective stitching on it that can be seen by cars, particularly at night. So it reflects, and it's like, oh, this kid ran out on the road, it's dusk, now I can see there's a human silhouette right there. There's a threat, not a threat, I guess. There's somebody that you could inadvertently kill, right? So I would kind of incorporate that for all children's clothing, basically, and all people, really. Like, if, like, for some brands, like, if because you don't want to be a ninja, you don't want to be wearing all black at nighttime and not expect to get hit by a car or some bad case scenario to happen, right? To be profiled by the police, what have you, right? If you're walking around like a ninja. Especially if you're in a group. In the future, once I'm world leader, unless you're not going to be allowed to, particularly for the youth, because they're the most volatile, right? They're most angry. Every male youth is angry at the world in the teenage years and early 20s, right? We're not able to articulate some men never learn how to, but articulate our anger and learn what causes our anger to not be defeated by our anger, basically, right? So there's that song, right? Everything's like a loaded gun, right? When you're young, anything could trigger people. So when you get a group, several teenagers, 3 or more in a group, they're likely to get into crime and do things that they wouldn't do individually by themselves. So in the future, groups of, unless it's a team or they can't fit in, if they could fit in one vehicle, that's permitted. If they could fit in one vehicle, but any groups that require 2 or more vehicles, they won't be able to congregate in mass together because they're too much of a threat to mom and dads that just want to walk and go about their business. They don't want to get mugged. They don't want to get assaulted. And it protects young males and young people, right? If you're a young male by yourself, you don't have to worry about walking down this corner because there's always 12 guys sitting on the steps staring you down. So you don't have to take a long way home. Because that's the brutal reality of it. Oh, how did the river affect this? Okay, what's he doing? Is he gonna jam? I wouldn't have called, most likely, depending on the timing of the bet. How I felt for that particular hit. So this is good. At least the chip leader at the table is to my right. So I have position over him every hand, but very few. There's 2 ways to go with this hand. I'll tell you after it, depending on what materializes. When you have something like ace 10, it's not the strongest hand, so I was in early position, so I could have called there and hoped to hit the flop and then trap my opponent at that point, because they would have been less likely to put me on an ace because I didn't show any aggression. So it's a solid strategy when you're early position. But you would want, ace 10 would probably be the worst ace you'd want to do that with. Ideally, you'd want to have aces or pocket king, or ace king, or ace kings, or you'd want to have a very strong hand if you're planning on trapping. But traps backfire lots in poker. Okay, what's this guy doing? I didn't want the call. Like I have kings or something. Oh, he raised. Okay. Bum, bum, bum. Oh no. Okay, so 900 to win 3,800. I want to see a flop. But he was likely to hit the ace. I was worried that he might have aces too. Well, I did call I would lose spectacularly, and I did say 2 pairs. So he did have a set. But I still have, I haven't entirely lost. So now I'm 108 out of 110, so I'm not entirely last in chips. But my goal is to survive as long as possible and get back to average stack now. He played it pretty good. That hand, he played it really good actually. Because I was apprehensive because I only had king queen. So I was apprehensive pre-flop with the raise. I most of the time, 80% of the time I fold pre-flop. So that never happens. I almost never get busted in that scenario. But it was 900, and I decided based on the pot odds, I figured I was probably should have been at least a 40% favorite. He had aces, so I wasn't. So I thought my odds to call were 25%, less than 25%, and so I put myself on 40% odds. So I was a 15% favorite in my mind to call pre-flop. So I decided with it that time. And then how we played it on the flop, me hitting the flop and then hitting the two pairs is how I got busted, basically. If I didn't hit the two pairs because I didn't have him on the straight, I was confident he didn't have the straight, but he could have had the ace with the same player. So the majority of the time, I don't lose that scenario. I fold pre-flop. Oh man, it's how it goes. I was just on a quiet street. There was 5 people on it before I got here, and it's like, okay, there's a park bench that's open. Now there's 65 people. I'll show you. Good luck me here. I guess I'll show you after this game. I need to get lucky. Need to get lucky, and it sucks when you need to get lucky in poker. And I didn't get lucky. So far. That's the best thing about all community cards when you're pre-flop. So maybe the club might come in handy, and they didn't bet, so I might get lucky. I might have the winner. Depends on this guy's bet. Hopefully he bets to isolate between me and him, and then I win. Bet. Oh no, but I do have a club, so hopefully they don't. They didn't bet like they had a club, so possibly I have the highest club. Do I have the winner? I have the winner. Nice. What did they have? Ace 3 and 7-8. So ideally, pre-flop, you want a ballpark. I'm gonna see a flop. You want to ballpark your odds are what your odds are pre-flop, and then to decide whether or not it's worth it to call. I had so few chips. He had lots. Good luck me. It's unlikely I'm gonna win. Especially now. What's my odds? 17%. 78. 100%. Heck yeah. I needed that. I needed to get lucky. Now I have a chance to recover. I have 10 big blinds. I still need to get lucky, but with one pot could potentially be 3,000 chips, right? See, there's 1,100 chips here. So if I had a decent hand now, I could jam and maybe get a couple folds since I have a couple thousand chips. So I could have won that 1,000 chips right there potentially. The only thing that would have been better over those last 3 hands was if I would have got the successful bluff with the 3 deuce suited on the river. If I would have got the bluff through, then I would have had an extra 600 chips or whatever it would have been to triple or whatever I did up. So instead of 2,700 chips, I would have had about 4,000 chips. So it could have went either way. Normally I would have folded the deuce pre-flop. But you have to run with your momentum too sometimes, right? Because you can't wait around for aces when you have so few chips. So yeah, here, I'll show you. Look at all the people that are around. And there's like millions of them. It is busy, but when I first came down this road, there was maybe less than 10 people. That's why I specifically came down this road. Because there's really no businesses that people buy stuff from. There's just this cool house. That cool house right there that people love to take pictures in front of.
That's why no.
There's a tattoo shop and Papa John's and some other restaurants, but when I come down this way, I don't really see too much traffic on this street. But this is my first summer here too, so. So I guess this will be the end of this video. I'm just gonna make another video here. So just watch the continuation. So we'll see how it made me sit out here, and while you can still see the action going on at the table. This is how I get ripped off. Even though I'm out of the hand this time, it's gonna make me sit out next hand. So I'm gonna keep the video playing to just show that. So I'm gonna press, so watch on the video, I'm gonna click I'm back, and it's gonna depress and not work, and then I'll confirm my location. Okay, that time it worked. Anyways, for my whole thoughts on computer-assisted telepathy, go to www.change.org/technology. And for sponsorships, endorsements, and donations, my PayPal email address is christianekarnemeyer@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.